My name's Adam Manaka and I'm the Financial Controller for High Tech Oils. With our national capacity, we can now service Australian companies nationwide. Of late, we have now expanded into the New Zealand market. Here at High Tech Oils, we receive premium base oils and premium additive packs. Together, with our highly trained staff, we manufacture over 500 premium quality products. High Tech Oils is Australian made and Australian owned.
On today's show, we head to Sydney Motorsport Park as we reach the halfway point of the 2017 Shannons Nationals. Today's Round 4 coverage features the Australian Prototype Series and the Australian Production Car Series. Then we head over to the UK and to the Snetterton circuit in Norfolk for Round 4 of the British Sidecar Championship. This is Speedweek.
G'day everyone and welcome. Shannons Nationals Round 4. We've been to Sandown, Phillip Island, Winton, and we come out of Victoria to beautiful sunny Sydney Motorsport Park. Darren Smith, Richard Crowell joining me here, and Darren, production cars, 4 1-hour races. They've had 2 so far, 2 to come today.
Big fan of the format actually. Bob Pearson is as well. 2 very strong victories to Bob in the old Evo 10. Fuel did it, tyres did it just, but keep an eye out for the Shannons in the M4.
They've had no luck with that car, have they, in that M4?
It's under development, look out for it, because in a straight line it just drives past everybody. So we're looking forward to good strong 2 more races, 2 1-hour races and a qualifying first up.
Beautiful, mate.
Thanks,
We'll throw
guys.
up to you in just one tick, Darren Smith there. Crowlesy, we'll finish off with you, mate. The Prototype Series are also racing here this weekend.
Yeah, it's chilly, isn't it? Bit
It
nippy
is
this
a bit
morning.
cold.
Yeah, single digits at the moment. So we're looking forward to this sun coming up, but good clean conditions forecast for today. Prototype Series is good. Yesterday, great win for Mark Lauke. Started from the second row of the grid, got through, got a victory. Really important for him to get victories today as well to close that championship up. Phil Hughes still in front in the Radical. He had a tough day yesterday. Terry Piavitas had a tough day yesterday. Jason Macris, who qualified on pole quite brilliantly and won last time out at Winton, unfortunately had dramas as well with a gearbox issue, stuck him in 6th gear. So for Mark Lauke, it's all about capitalising. It's all about points for him today to get him in that championship fight. It's turning out to be a ripper championship battle though, 40 points covering 4 guys. So halfway through that series, it's going to be a good conclusion.
Thank you very much, Tony. Gary O'Brien has joined me right alongside, 35-year veteran journo from Auto Action. Gary, welcome. We're about to get underway with arguably one of the most exciting categories on the Shannons Nationals in 2017, the Prototype Series.
Thanks, Taz. Great to be back. Winton certainly showed them up as being the best races of the weekend. Chris Sutton, with a drama on the outlap, has pulled up. Maybe he's just had a bit of a lose in the cold conditions of the track out of turn 4. And fortunately gets that Radical back underway. Had a good race yesterday. Mark Lauke and Michael Shaw really put it on. When Lauke got out in front, it looked like he could have walked away from it, but Shaw had other ideas, actually got in front of him. And just towards the end, that Lauke again reasserted himself in front. He's running very little wing this weekend to give himself a little bit better straight line performance in the Radical. Around the back of the track, there's nothing between them. His methodology in all that was that you can't pass around the back of the track, but you can pass down the straight, and that's where I want to have the advantage.
Let's have a quick look at the grid as the cars form up behind the McLaren safety car, and it looks like this. Mark Lauke will lead them away. Michael Shaw will be number 2, so West versus Radical, and then it's Jarrett Ruff again. West versus Radical to Peter Padden, and it's Chris Sutton, John Paul Drake, another West versus Radical row. Mark Short out of South Australia in the prototype there, and Terry Piavitas in the FL 1000 there in position number 8. Number 9 will be Phil Hughes, the Melbourne-based mechanic out of Brayside, Ferrari and sports car specialist. down there, and it's Jonathan Stokely in the number 53 West. Let's hope he can get a good result out of today after suffering some reliability issues there. And we are set for a start. Safety car off. We watch to the starters rostering for the green flag. They're being held late right to the line there, and away they go. It's a very, very evenly matched start off the line there. And Jarrett Ruff looks to be trying to get up the inside there, but it'll be Lauki that sweeps through into the lead. Ruff holds. No, he doesn't hold out sure, but Peter Padden's just gone backwards a little bit there out of the start of that race. He's gone back a spot or so, and looks like John Paul Drake is trying to get up the inside of the Radical. We've got a spinner there in a Radical, and we're taking evasive action.
Sutton and Macris both gone around as a result. Now, Jason Macris had his car stuck in 6th gear yesterday when the shifter broke. The paddles were working, but the shift wasn't actually doing anything. Very sedate start from everyone. It looked like they were all taking it very easy until we got on the exit of turn 2 there, and we've had a couple go around. But at the moment, it's Lauki in front from Shaw. We get a replay of what happened there. That looks like, Sutton did it on his own, and I think Macris may have just spun in avoidance more than anything.
And the rest of the smoke there was tyre smoke of lockups. Phil Hughes had to take huge evasive action. When you see a driver's hands disappear up, they got as much lock as they possibly can, and Phil avoided any contact. I think he
what
still
do we call that,
continues in the
6
race.
o'clock?
Yeah, exactly. 6 o'clock and 12 o'clock, with the hands look like more like 11 and 5 doubling over the crossed arms. But let's get back to the race at hand. Everyone's continued on. Macris spun it around and got back underway very nicely indeed, and we've got the car disappearing out over the dirt on the entry to the straight here, but it's Mark Lauki taking full advantage of running very little downforce as he possibly can in the wings. The good thing about this, which is one of the newer generation Wests, is that he's got a fair bit of underside aero package which he can call on there as well. Macris has got across the line in lap 1 in position number 11, and he's on an absolute charge. So he's looking to get through to Stokely, Hughes and McKay, I would suggest, before the end of this second lap of this race.
Car 16, of course, is the Prince from Mark Short out of South Australia. The easiest way to tell the difference between our Radicals and our Wests, I guess, is that the Radical has a big hoop over the driver's head and is a 2-seater, whereas the Wests are a single-seater. And the WX10 is the later version of the WR1000, mostly, as Darren alluded to earlier, to do with the suspension of the cars is slightly different, and a little bit aeros underneath the cars is slightly different as well. The interesting thing about the West, of course, is having the mirrors in the flutes over the front guards. You can't actually see them from the front of the car, but you'll see them from the back of the car, because that's obviously where the driver's looking through to see what's happening. And at the moment, those mirrors will be filled with Michael Shaw in the number 2 Radical as he zeroes in on the back of that leading West.
This is where we've seen the aero package of the West come really strong. Jarrett Ruff just ranging in the background there as well. And the setup that Lauki's chosen, the low drag setup, if you like, is playing into his ball court, because it's once we start to use the car, and that is use the chassis and the twisty bits of the track, that's where Michael Shaw's able to fight right back. And don't forget, he's a race winner at Phillip Island in the Radical Australia Cup, and he's been very strong this weekend. So double duties, he's doing both prototype racing and Radical Australia Cup here this weekend. So Lauki leads to Michael Shaw, Jarrett Ruff in the 88, the CRC Industries car, and John Paul Drake in the number 66, just in the background here. So lost a bit of ground in the sort of the goings on in the exit of turn 2 on the first lap, but starting to fight back. He's got clear track in front of him, but he's also got Peter Padden right behind him, car number 1, 2 times winner of the Radical Australia Cup, and he'll be feeling the pressure there.
Yeah, Padden, and of course Short just in the background. Terry Puvertis in the only open wheeler, the F1K car out of Western Australia. That car had all sorts of engine dramas yesterday with no oil temperature whatsoever. He was very worried that he may actually have an issue with letting the engine go on him, so he was very conservative. Now we've had a change here. As Lauki got issues. Lauki has slowed, so Padden's gone past him. We've got Lauki dropped spots now. That would put Michael Shaw, he's not there as well. He's in third spot, so Peter Patton's come from nowhere to take the lead into this race in one lap. So third time down, past the pits, Lauke pulls out, goes ahead again, regathers the lead, Patton in second, Shaw now dropped off into third, Ruff in fourth, Drake in fifth, short, then Piavides. Then we've got a gap to Phil Hughes, who leads the series after winning round one. Now, of course, Shaw runs a little bit wide at turn two, sort of invited Shaw to go through on Patton there, but it wasn't to be. So what happened there, we just didn't quite see. Now Shaw goes for an inside run at turn four and gets that spot back. So the status quo has been resumed, except that Ruff is now looking to get his spot back.
Yeah, Ruff's gone back to P4 now as these two Radicals battle it out, and they're going to do it again in a 50-minute race for the Radicals later on this morning as well. So they're looking pretty strong, the Radicals here. And it's in fact, Sydney Motorsport Park has been a leveller for the whole field. Sandown seemed to be in the wet conditions. The Radicals look really good home. Winton suited the west very well. Sydney Motorsport Park is rewarding those that have got a really good balanced setup. And not everyone in the field's quite nailed that setup right now, but we look back down through the field. Lauke, Shaw, Patton, Ruff, John Paul Drake, Mark Short and the Prince. Great to see him here. Terry Piavides in the FL1. I guess Terry Piavides is the only one that this is not really suiting the FL1.
Oh, Patton off the road at the final corner. Big off there. That'll cost him several spots as John Paul Drake and Short go past, and I think Short may get past Drake as well. If you look at the Prince is actually a Formula Ford Van Diemen at one stage of its life. It's had panels added to it to turn it into a prototype, but interesting concept, a replay of Patton bouncing across the rumble strip and then out into what we call the boonies or the scrub, and comes back losing 2 spots out of it. But certainly what we call the Rubik's Cube, and you can see that fairly plain on your screens wide with all the very bright colours on it. It's a standout car, one that John Paul Drake has been working hard to get up to speed properly, and there's a big gap now between Piavides and Jason Macris fighting his way back from that early spin. Should have been the pace setter yesterday, didn't get the qualifying lap in. The session was called short when one of the other cars, I think it was the Scott McKay West, had a spin at turn 5 and couldn't restart the car. With about 4 minutes to go, that session was called, and I think Macris was just about to head out on his hot lap, ended up not getting it together. So Lauke was the one that benefited, and he has been the pace setter all weekend, all through Friday. He has been the fastest car out there, just coming up to complete 6 of 10 laps. Shaw is in the situation where he's catching Lauke around the back of the track, but very little can do about it. As we see in the background, Patton trying to shake John Paul Drake off his tail as Terry Piavides keeps an eye on the pair of them just ahead of him. And on that occasion, that West didn't have the straight line speed to do anything about getting past Patton.
So we've got 6 laps completed, or 6.5 laps now completed for our race leader. And Mark Lauke has had pressure this entire race. He's responded very, very well by really just running his own race. And as Gary said before, one of the really cool things about these Wests is that they're fluting over the top of the wheels to relieve the pressure within the wheel arch. Has got the rear vision mirrors mounted in there, and you don't see it till you're right up very close to it, and you see the mirrors mounted in there. So every little detail on these Wests has been well considered and well thought out, as we see Lauke, our race leader. And that's probably the largest lead he's had all race long, 0.82 of a second to Michael Shaw. Patton was initially the main contender for that second spot on the podium, but he's gone back now to position number 5, and he's actually really having a battle with John Paul Drake. The number 55 car of Mark Lauke, though, very, very strong here at Sydney Motorsport Park. In fact, he's got the real the highs and lows here at Sydney Motorsport Park. A couple of years ago, secured his first championship here. So had a clean sweep that weekend. Last year, Sydney Motorsport Park was the last place he even wanted to be at. He's back to this fantastic form again here this weekend. A bit of a quirky bloke out of South Australia, a real keen racer, and when it's going good, he is one of the most excitable blokes in pit lane.
Yeah, but he's even in a good mood when it's not going well.
That's right. He does love the camaraderie in the paddock, doesn't he?
Whitten wasn't a very good round for him, running in an engine, and they never got out of that run-in mode. Although look at the gap that Shaw pulls back around the back of the track. Obviously, that car is better suited for the twisty parts of the track. But as Lauki did allude to earlier, that's the hardest places to pass is around there. But just harking back to Whitten a little bit, Lauki just trundled around, I guess, to run that engine in. Had all the wrong gearing for the Whitten circuit as well. But certainly on top of the game at the moment here at Sydney Motorsport Park, as Shaw looks to slip down the inside of him down at the 8th corner on the track. And Lauki really on the brakes late there, had a bit of a wiggle out in front, but from this point onwards you would think that the West WX10 would have the advantage.
Mark Lauki lost a lot of time. He lost just under a second in the first sector of this lap, and that's transpired now through to this this second sector as well. Gets on the top of the straight here and drives away with it. I guess by now he's starting to struggle with that low downforce right around, from the exit of 2 all the way around to the exit of Corporate Hill at the back of 6 there. So he holds the ultimate line, and well, it looks like Shaw's having to go a little bit in the mirrors there as well as Jarrett Ruff, who I said earlier, he's been in the box seat for all the action. He hasn't been in that the melees or the action that's been going on around. He's managed to stay right out of trouble, but it's always been just up the road from him.
Yeah, he's had a really good run so far the last 2 rounds, and he's been thereabouts on the podium and looking to shore up behind Michael Shaw. He's second, third for the weekend. We're on the 9th lap. There'll be just, I think this is the last lap by look at it. I think we might have taken the lap off us here. Anyway, at the moment, so it's Lauki in front of Shaw. The gap's still 0.87 of a second. Ruff right on the back of Shaw as well in third. Michael Short, I should say, up to 4th. Peter Patton, Terry Puvitas, and then we've got John Paul Drake, Jason Macris after that early spin. Phil Hughes, haven't seen a lot of him. Chris Sutton, they're the 2 radicals that have done every round so far. Chris Sutton had punches down at Winton, had some issues. Then, of course, we've got McKay, the new boy on the block in the ex-Roger Ianza car. He's Dad Ken working on that car this weekend. Aaron Lewis, Sue Hughes, Jonathan Stokel. We know that that car's had lots of issues down at Winton, and he's having handling problems here at the moment. Checker flag out as we see our race winner, Mark Lauki, 2 from 2 this weekend. With Michael Shaw in second spot, Jared Ruff gets his second third for the weekend. Mark Short moves up the order a little bit to get into 4th position. Then we've got Peter Patton, Terry Puvitas, the next 2 across the line.
Mark Lauki takes another race win, home in position 1. Michael Shaw in position number 2.
Yeah, Jared Ruff again, a great result for the older model West in 3rd spot, and of course having the Prince in 4th spot really shows the diversity of this category up. Peter Patton in 5th, Terry Puvitas in the Audi open wheeler out there at the moment and doing a great job as well. And of course Jacob Macris after early lose finishes in 8th spot. Phil Hughes, Chris Sutton, the radical regulars you might say within the series, are in 9th and 10th positions.
I've got to say, our cars are fair weather flyers, I call them. In perfect conditions, they do their best, and so with minimal horsepower, they get a very good result. So I really shepherded it along, helped it along, and came home with a result. I set it up to be fast down the straights, and that's what saved me from being gobbled up by the people behind.
I'll tell you what, if you're worried about any sort of parity there at all with West Radical, the first rows of the grid tell the story, don't they? Here they go. Off the start line, it was a drag race again between the West and the Radical for the Australian Prototype Series here in the final race for these cars here this weekend. Mark Lauki led them down into turn 1, but Michael Shaw was looking for a good run. It didn't quite happen. He tried all race long. He then sort of just disappeared and had a battle with the Prince of Mark Short, and this was the battle that ultimately went the way of Short for the majority of the race until about 4 corners to the conclusion of the race, and unfortunately he spun.
Not the only races going on within this field. There was all sorts of action going on down there, but out in front it was definitely Mark Lauki leading the way, And then we found that Jason Macris was making good progress. He'd passed Peter Patton, put the pressure on Michael Shaw, and it's got as close as it did right here, and even got a little bit of the nose up alongside there at one point, but he held on, and of course, so he had Mark Short into Prince. Have a desperate go. It wasn't desperate, it was a go, and unfortunately spun it out on the inside of the hairpin. Fortunately able to recover, but I don't think that'll infuse him a lot. But down to the line, of course, Mark Bowkey takes the win, takes the round ahead of Michael Shaw.
Well, it wasn't easy, and from my point, it wasn't domination, because I've got to say that I had the car set up to go quick to start with, to take advantage of anything to start with, to build a lead, to be fast down the straight, and that meant as the race went on, I've got to say, I didn't necessarily get slower, but others got quicker. And so it was a case of defence the whole time once I established my lead. So it was never easy, but it certainly was fun.
We'll be back in just a couple of moments as we start the last race for round 4 of the Shannons Nationals.